Ian Woods.
Mr Chairman, and it is my pleasure to take a call on this piece of legislation and signal that I will be exercising my personal vote to vote against this legislation. And Mr Chairman, I want to spell out the reasons why I am voting against this legislation, and I want to specifically talk to the provisions in clauses 5H, 5I, 5J and 5JI. And I think this is the crux of the legislation, Mr Chairman, where it shows how out of touch the members opposite are, that they naively believe that these words on a bit of paper offer the kinds of protections that are required to ensure that the retail workers are going to be treated fairly. I think it shows, and listening to Mr Hudson's speech showed to me just how out of touch that member is. I wonder how many minimum wage retail workers he actually speaks to and asks them about their ability. That's right, in the Coro Club. I don't know how many in the Coro Club that he speaks to. I wonder how many that member has had a conversation with and has asked about their ability to work their own roster, to nominate the hours, their casual hours that they want to work. I wonder how many that member has had a conversation with. I wonder if he has talked to any people on a 90-day trial and asked them at day 45 whether they can go to their boss and say, no, I don't think I want to take those hours you're offering me. I'd like to do something else with my time. So on this occasion, I won't be taking up that offer you're putting to me. This shows the naive and out-of-touch nature of the government that we have sitting opposite us. So if we go through these provisions, Mr Chairman, that provision 5H, which says that the Employment Relations Act that requires that shop employee to work or to be available to accept any work that the employer makes available on Easter Sunday is unenforceable against the shop employee. I would like to hear one of the government members take a call and tell us exactly how they think that is going to work in practicality. How they think that a minimum wage retail worker is going to have the ability to say no. Then we go to 5I, the shop employee's right to refuse to work on Easter Sunday. A shop employee may refuse to work on Easter Sunday and is not required to provide the employer with a reason for refusing to work on Easter Sunday. Now, Mr Speaker, again, Mr Chairman, I would like to hear one of the members opposite give us an explanation of exactly how they think that conversation is going to pan out. That a 18-year-old minimum wage retail worker is approached by their boss and says, so I want you to work on Easter Sunday. And that employee can just say no, and I am within my legislative rights not to tell you why I won't work. That is just absolutely out of touch. And to think that this is the ability just to take a personal grievance that is there, this is just ridiculous, Mr Chairman. The fact that we have protected certain days and said that we will give a blanket day off to everybody so they can spend together is something that we have whittled down within New Zealand to 3.5 days. But those days are there for a reason. People have talked about religious observance, other people have talked about the ability to have family time. There are many sporting and cultural tournaments and festivals that are held over periods of time when it is accepted there will be common days off. And this is what we are choosing to give up with this legislation. But Mr Chairman, the other piece of this legislation, and another reason that I will be voting against it, is that it is just bad legislation. This is the government deciding it wants to do something but not having the intestinal fortitude to do it itself, instead palming it off.
I think the member knows that phrase is out of order. The member will withdraw.
I withdraw. This is a government that is simply palming off to territorial and local authorities the onus, the cost of doing this. And Mr Chairman, one of the clauses that I especially like in this legislation is 5E, where this Parliament is telling TLAs that they must not delegate to a committee or other subordinate decision-making body, community board or member or officer of a local authority the power to make the final decision. Mr Chairman, this is rich from a parliament that is passing legislation that is passing that onus on, Mr Chairman.
David Bennett.
Thank you, Mr